When I heard the Pope that had died, I was pretty surprised because over the Easter weekend, all my family was talking about how he was doing better and seemed to be doing well. So that morning when I woke up, I was just a bit shocked. The change.
Were people at school talking about it? Was it a conversation at all?
Yeah, so when we got to school on Tuesday morning, the flags were at half-mast, and then in the morning, we prayed the novena on the announcements, which made our prayer a little bit longer, as it was a more serious topic. They had us sit down, because usually it's just a quick, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but we had to pray a little bit longer, and then our principal came on that morning and just let us know that the mood would be a little bit more somber for the rest of the week. We had some activities planned, like pep rallies and stuff like that, and those were a little bit dialed down for the week.
What do you think it is about the Pope that appealed to younger people?
I think that the Pope's ability to recognize that he was fallible, and even as the head of the Catholic Church, he still had things to learn on his own. That's attractive in a leader, I think, as a young person. Also, he could recognize that in order to get young people excited about their faith, changes needed to be made in the Catholic Church. So all of his progression and reformation to the Catholic Church was really important to myself, at least as a young person.
Is there anything specific that stood out to you as something that you appreciated the Pope doing?
So I think his openness to the idea of women potentially ever entering the priesthood, that's really important to me. I know he stopped shy just at allowing that, but I think in the future, it's definitely important that we keep that idea open with whatever the future of the Vatican holds.
Aside from women's place in the church, which other of Pope Francis's teachings do you hope will continue as the Catholic Church moves forward?
Same thing, but like inclusivity and just recognizing that people with non-traditional lifestyles can still be recognized as people of worship and faith.
As a student trustee, you play a leadership role in the Student Senate Faith Day. Now, I understand the theme for that event was inspired by the Jubilee year, and that was announced by Pope Francis. Tell us more about that.
So the theme was Pilgrims of Hope. And what myself and my co-trustee wanted to do with this day was really inspire our fellow peers to think about what keeps them hopeful in their daily lives. So we had to do a little activity, and we gave each person a little template of a leaf, and they wrote what keeps them hopeful in their life, like maybe the love for their family or the idea that the weekend is coming. Like, that's what keeps me hopeful right now. But and then we strung all of those leaves on a light-up birch tree. I don't know if you've seen those. And then we display that in the board just as a symbol of, all of our hope comes together to be light for the board.
What did Pilgrims of Hope mean to you?
So to be a pilgrim of hope, I think, is to be a person filled with hope and to spread that to those around you, maybe in dark times or times of need, just to remind others that there's more coming and to keep their head up.
I understand you have a planned trip to Rome.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So I'm super excited. It'll be my senior trip. We're going to Italy and Greece. And this is how I found out that the Pope had passed, actually. My teacher posted that some of our events might be affected, like our trip to Vatican City and the Sistine Chapel. But I do understand that the conclave will be occurring at the same time that I'll be there. And the idea that I could possibly see the white or black smoke at the end of each day is really exciting to me. I don't know anybody else who can say they were in Rome at the time of a new pope being chosen. So I think that would be really unique.
Do you know if they're working that into your schedule?
I'm not sure. I'm hopeful that we'll be around at the time, during the voting. I know most of the process is confidential, but that burning of the smoke would be cool to see.
I think that'd be pretty neat and very historic. How would you say Pope Francis affected your faith as a Roman Catholic?
So I would consider myself one of the many youth who kind of distanced themselves from the Catholic Church just because of, the history and possible truths of what might have occurred. But he really did his part in apologizing for those things and, like I said, making those progressions to get us more interested in our faith. So this year especially, I've been back in my church and just talking to my friends more about their churches as well. I've visited a few of theirs too, just to see how different places do it differently. And I think that is just about knowing that the future of the Catholic Church is in good hands because of Pope Francis' work and the future of the potential cardinals.
How much does the leadership of a pope play in the Catholic faith?
Well, they are the overseer of the entire thing, so I think it's definitely important to have your values align, not necessarily with the majority, but with the future generations, because we are the ones that are going to be carrying on the Catholic Church. So, I would say they have to appeal to what most people want to hear in terms of, the changes that happen in the world and not shy away from maybe non-traditional ways of life, because those are the directions that my generation is headed.
I think something that stood out to me about the Pope was that he washed prisoners' feet. That was the first time anyone
Yes.
had done that. That stood out to me as a humbling moment. And then I just was reading that he's having people who are homeless be the last ones to visit in the state. What does that represent to you?
So, as I previously mentioned, that humility really is attractive in a leader as a young person. And just that accessibility, too, of his display of leadership and as the head, that wouldn't really be accessible to a homeless person or a prisoner if he wasn't so humble and had the ability to admit his mistakes and just realize that he too is a sinner and a human.
Yeah, I feel like when I understood or put those things together in my own brain, it made me see him differently. Does that do that for
Yeah.
you? What do you hope the next leader brings?
Well, I did learn yesterday that 110 of the cardinals were actually chosen by Pope Francis. So because of their similar shared values. So I'm hoping that these ideas of faith-based inclusivity are carried on in the Catholic Church, because I think that's really what we need right now in times of division and all this craziness. We need to come together and just recognize that everybody is supposed to be together and not divided.
All right. Tessa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tessa Ferrone is a grade 12 student at St. Joseph's Catholic High School in Windsor. She's also a student trustee with the Catholic School Board.